SBR Forum Videos, I'm Peter Loshak. This is Into the Weekend with BetDSI, the call we do every Thursday with Brent, the headlines manager at DSI Sportsbook, where we discuss the betting action that he's seen for the upcoming weekend's major sporting events, the sharp action, the public action. And this week we are looking ahead to college football Week 7, NFL Week 6. Brent, thanks for being back with us.
Always a pleasure, Peter.
All right, this week we're going to do the same thing. We're going to shoot college football on Thursday, but we're going to wait till Friday to do the NFL call because you'll have a lot more information, as was the case last week. It's looking like we might do this every week, but I really appreciate it because that means that the calls are better. The NFL segment comes out a day later, but the calls are better. So, Brent, college football Week 7 is what we're going to discuss. But before we get into specific games, I do want to bring up a topic that was posted, a very interesting topic that was posted in the thread in our show last week. And it's basically about line manipulation, basically about how you know that the action that you take is actually sharp. And we do know that line manipulation does happen. Line manipulation is sometimes when, a big player in the industry bets one side early to move the line up so that he can then get a much better line later on in the week. And, that does happen in various ways to varying degrees in various markets. The ironic thing is that the game that the guy used as an example was the Ohio game last week. Now, it opened at 3. You told us that you got sharp action on Ohio, moved it all the way up to 6.5. This guy came in and said that wasn't the sharp side and that was just line manipulation. Ironically, the line did close at 3, but then quadruply ironically, Ohio wound up blowing him out. What do you have to say about that?
Did you just say quadruple ironically?
Quadruply ironically, yes.
When we do these shows, Peter, I'm talking about guys who have come into our store who are sharp. And now when I identify a sharp guy, I'm not identifying a guy who's a person who moves the line. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about guys who long-term lifetime winners in their accounts. These are guys who consistently win. Now, it's funny. There was a bookmaker I used to talk to a while back, and he always used to say that, he'd rather lose with the right number than win with the wrong number. Where I'm just the opposite. I'd rather win with the wrong number no matter what. I just want to win. Now, this game in question you talked about was Ohio, and again, the sharp who came in did come in at -3, 3.5. I think I touched on, and there was another guy who actually played it at 4.5.
Right.
Yes, the line did drop all the way down to 3, but again, that was just a case where I had a couple guys, different kind of groups, if you want to call them, who were really sharp, who were taking Ohio, and then yes, you saw the line go right up. Now, this is a case where maybe you had two different, groups of sharps on the different side of the game. I don't know. There was a couple groups who went with us on Ohio. Now, the question you posed was how do you identify whether it's kind of a number's being set up or not? And generally, when a number's being set up, it's kind of you've got a guy who will come in, normally bet say 20,000, might play 10,000 on the game, mm-hmm. and he might send that out, and the followers will go with it. So your line where he's maybe playing at -3 for his 10,000, the line gets driven up to say 5, and he loves the other side, and he'll come back with 2, 3, 4, 5 times the bet the other way. So that's kind of when it's been played that way. And other times a guy will come in and make a bet like that, and the line won't move at all. And you say, okay, there's guys who originate the move and guys who follow the move. So mm-hmm. if the guys who are really trying to hit the number for as much as they can, the followers will all come in. If it's just being set up, you can see sometimes across the board on Don Best the line won't move at all, or it might move a half a point. Generally speaking, the amount of movement indicates how strong the play is, or if it's really being set up or not.
So in this case specifically, obviously it was early sharp action that caused the move up. What caused the move down? Did you actually then get sharp action on the other direction, or is it just like you moved according to the market?
I moved according to the market. Now, that's not to say that other sharps didn't come on the other side. And again, if we were, if I had sharps here at 3 and 3.5 and 4.5, and this guy I believe said he took you sent me the link, he took 6 or 6.5. Mm-hmm. Now, is that a question of the number was being set up, or it's a different perception of the value of the of the line? Now, if a sharp guy lays 3 and the line goes up to 6, there's probably someone else out there who might think that Akron in this case was a good bet plus the 6 or 6.5, whatever it was. So you have to understand that so often in terms of these sharps, it's not about the side, it's about the number.
So how do you tell the difference between, a line where it's just sharps disagreeing and when there's actual, funny business going? Not funny business, just manipulation.
Well, generally, in the end, you find out when the same person who laid you say -3 for a half unit bet, whatever his normal unit is, bets you 3 times that unit the other side later
And
on
that
in the
does
day,
happen.
or his people. You can identify it, of course, before the game goes off, just by how much manipulation there is in the line, how much it moves off that first bet. If the line doesn't move across the screen on Dom Best off that first bet, he's not playing it everywhere else.
And so, does that ever happen to you? Do you ever have a situation where a winning account, comes in, initially early in the week, makes a small bet, and then comes in later in the week, makes a much bigger bet on the other side?
Yep, absolutely. It happens all the time.
And that is just classic line manipulation, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's all it is. All right, so then, are you taking that into account when you tell us that you've gotten, sharp action on a certain side? Do you have in the back of your mind, like, this is real sharp action, or are you filtering out that it could be, some kind of manipulation that'll later be disagreed with closer to kickoff?
No, there's certain people who are known for manipulating the line and just getting value, and they may play one side here and another side somewhere else. The guys that I talk about when we do this show are guys who, as identified earlier, these are just guys who are long-term winners who will play one side. They'll play, they might play at 3, and like I said with Ohio, they played at 3 and 3.5. And guys who, in a case like that, this guy's not going to come back on the other side. These guys that I talk about, these guys like that side, and that's what they're going to play. They almost never will be coming back on the other side. So I kind of shift out the guys who might be manipulating the line and stick with guys who are just sharp, long-term winners who like a certain side.
Brent, thanks so much for addressing this question once again. This is just great information. I know that our audience is going to really appreciate it, and thanks so much for touching on this subject. All right, let's get into the games that are upcoming for college football Week 7. First thing I want to ask you about, Oregon at Washington. Here we have Oregon. They're the number 2 team in the country, 5-0 against the spread. So they're shaping up like, once again, they're going to be one of these teams that's just, a huge favorite every week. The public bets them and tends to win with them. They're 5-0 against the spread. This week they are at Washington. Washington's also ranked 4-1 against the spread. What kind of action are you seeing on this one?
The action's pretty much all been on Oregon so far, which doesn't surprise. Now we're sitting at Oregon -14 on the road at Washington. Total 76.5, and it's interesting here because we've had sharp money on the under of this game, actually under 76. But there's just been so much action from public and general squares who have big bank accounts who've been going over. We're still sitting higher at 76.5, even though we took under money from sharps at 76. But on the side here, Peter, this is a case where Oregon laying 2 touchdowns on the road. I think we're going to be content just to sit back and let the public pound away at Oregon. Yeah, they're 5-0, but let's not forget Washington's 4-1. We'll be comfortable if we need Washington to win. That's for sure.
So suffice to say, when you have one of these like top 5 or top 3 teams that's also undefeated against the spread every week, you're going to get inundated with public action on them, right?
Yeah, for sure. And of course, whenever Oregon's involved, there's over money as well, and that's actually almost every Pac-10 game is people are going over those.
And then the other marquee matchup that has a line that's been highly debated is Missouri at Georgia. This is a very highly debated line. I did notice that the line went down a bit in favor of Missouri. It opened at about 10. Now I think it's like 8 or 8.5. I'm wondering, is that because sharps came in on Missouri early?
Yeah, it was sharp money that took Missouri early. Even sharps were taking 10 -15 there. We're down to 7.5 on Georgia at home right now. The count is pretty much even. The money's about 2-1 in favor of Missouri though, just because the sharps generally play a little bit per unit wager there. So the sharp money, was on Missouri plus 10 -15. But again, for the purposes of this show, it's not like you're going to recommend Missouri plus a 7.5 because the sharps haven't touched that. They haven't touched Georgia either at this point. But it's mostly public money. Like I said, the count's pretty much even now. What I've got on Georgia is public, sharp Missouri. Just a game where we'll sit back and hope it doesn't land on 10.
Right. So it is a sharp public split then. The public is favoring Georgia, and the sharps came in on Missouri.
That's correct, Peter.
All right, and then now let's just get to everyone's favorite part of this show, the open-ended question, where I just ask you, what can you tell us about sharp and public action that you've taken from the rest of the card? College football Week 7.
College football Week 7, here we go. I got BYU and Georgia Tech. The total, that was a strong underplay. I've got a couple different groups going under 54, under 55, 55.5. We're sitting at 53.5, so the number's still kind of close, waiting for something to come back there. Florida at LSU, of course, is a big matchup. We're sitting LSU is 7 right now, but the count and money is way all over you LSU, and of course that was because it was sharp money. They started laying a 6 on LSU, 6.5 on LSU, sitting at 7. I haven't really got much back on Florida. A little bit at 7, but not a whole lot. So we're hoping one side wins all right. They're pretty big. If it lands 7, it probably won't be good for us because that's where the Florida money is coming. So we'll be paying the LSU 6 and 6.5 stuff to take care of Florida plus 7, which pushed the Florida plus 7. So that won't be good for us. Alabama, Kentucky under, that's another strong play. I've got under 54, under 52.5. We're sitting at 51 right now, so that's Alabama's a 26.5 point favorite.
Wow.
And a total of 51 now. Michigan and Penn State, that's a big game. We got side sharps on Michigan, minus 1.5 and -2, sitting at 2.5, minus 15 right now. I'm pretty sure that line's going to go up to 3, though, Peter. Just I haven't got much back on Penn State at all. The count's about 2-1 in favor of Michigan. The money's about 2-1 as well. So we're going to have to do some work to get that back, go all the way up to 3 probably, and just risk pushing on 3. The total over there, over 49, over 50.5. We're sitting at 51 right now. So Michigan the side, and the over for the total. UAB at Florida International, that's a strong overplay as well. I've got money over 53, 53.5, 54, 54.5. We finally stopped them at 55, but we stopped the over money, but haven't got any money back on the under. So I wouldn't be surprised if that one even higher. And Middle Tennessee State, North Texas. I know it's not a marquee game, but the sharps are on that under 55.5, under 54.5. We're sitting at 53.5 right now. And the last one is Hawaii and UNLV. We got over money there, over 53.5 and 54.5, and the total now is 55.5, Peter. So not a ton of sides right now, but a lot of totals in action for the sharps this weekend.
Awesome. Brent, I'm sure we're going to get a lot of bow-down smileys for this call and all that great information right there. Thanks so much, Brent. That's our college football Week 7 segment of Into the Weekend with BetDSI, and we will talk to you again tomorrow to discuss NFL Week 6. Thanks, Brent.